Well, I've got to straighten some things up. First of all, my apologies about the lighting. The last evening when I was telling this tale, I forgot to turn the lights on. You know, it's at the end of the day and I'm often tired. Um, so that's one thing. And another thing, I got a lot of stuff wrong about, I called her Mrs. Diversity. She never married. She's Miss Diversity. And I just, she kind of caught me by surprise in showing up like that. And I also said that she was an English teacher. Well, she was, but really she was the teacher in a one room school, not far at all from the moot point. Uh, K or you say K through 12. This would be 1 through 8. She had been the teacher that had retired, never married. If she'd married, she probably would have had to stop teaching. That's the way that was. She had been, it was recent though, she had been Rachel and Jacob's teacher. Remember, that's that couple that have been newly retired. So back when they were in seventh and eighth grade, well, beyond that, she taught them to read. I mean, she was a schoolmarm, but there's much more to be said about her should the occasion rise. And one other thing, she was drinking stout, which was strange. You know, well, I don't know why that would have to be strange, but but she didn't leave right away. This was an interesting enough evening that she didn't just leave right away. All right, so those things told. They went over to the pool table and unrolled the scroll. Now, when they came to the piece of paper that had all those words on it, they, uh, in a way, Edgy and Violet were a little bit apologetic about this. They just said, this could be nothing but garbage. We don't know. But they had to explain about Wedge and Lance and how Lance had carried it and decided that they were worthy or that Violet was worthy. And so they explained all that and said that Wedge thought real highly of this and felt that it was the Holy Grail. Stuff you already know. So they explained that. Now, Omar, for his part, he was fascinated. People tend to like things that are different and unexpected. Well, not all people. Tatus, for example, hates anything that's different and unexpected. But most people are interested in something different like that, and this was different. Uh, he looked at that list of words and kind of said, well, Miss Diversity, I'm going to get this right now, Miss Diversity, the schoolmarm, she had made herself, she wasn't being nosy exactly, but she was curious too. And most of the clientele had left by now, but she hadn't. She was staying around. And she looked at it and she also was interested in watching. Well, then they rolled it out, and that freed up the piece of silk. And at that point, Elaine said that she really hoped that Indira, that's Omar, Dr. Patel Indira, this is Omar's wife, that she would take a look at it. Was there something that she could help him with this piece of silk? Was it special in any way? And oh, there was the phone. That's going to happen. Edgy said, yes, maybe it's white samite, mystic, wonderful. And at that point, Miss Diversity, the schoolmarm, she spoke up and she said, aha, you've been reading your Tennyson. All silk is mystic, wonderful. Indira agreed. But Indira said, she looked at it pretty carefully and she said, well, this is not white samite. It's white, that's true. but it's not Semite. It is mystic and wonderful, of course. But she looked at it and she said, really? If silk can ever be plain, this is plain silk. This would work for a parachute. This could be parachute silk. Or you could use this silk for silk screening. Well, when she said silk screening, all of a sudden, Violet and Edgy, for his part too, said, whoa. They kind of thought of a possibility, because there was nothing on it. And could this be something that's could be silk screened? Could it be a hidden message? Well, Indira, looked at it even more closely, and she saw there were holes in it, little tiny holes in it. And she said, "And it's damaged. It wouldn't do much for silk. It's not hemmed." And by now, Violet said, "I'll bet that's a stencil." I'm just thinking, if we tell you what, tomorrow is Saturday. I'm going to go to the museum, to the shops at the museum. There's a guy named Andy Andy Snyder there, and he's the cleverest guy I know when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm going to ask him if he thinks we could get a pattern or get an image off this, kind of like a what do they call it? A rubbing. Maybe those little tiny holes say something, and they had a plan. Well, Omar, he said he was going to make a request. He said, "Tell you what, would you guys consider coming back tomorrow night? You're my guests. Let me invite you especially back. It's a Saturday night. You've probably heard the story. Saturday clientele is different. But if you guys would come back, it's kind of late now. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's see if a team can figure out what's going on with this scroll." And they all agreed to that. And for her part, not to be left out, Miss Diversey, she said, "I'm going to be here too." And then she headed toward the door. And, Edgy, for one, spoke up. He said, "How are you going to get home? There's no more cars out there in the parking lot." And she said, "Oh, don't worry about me. I walk home. It's not that far. There's a knoll, a kind of a hill to the east of here, and I go over that, and on the far side is where I live. It's about halfway to the one-room school where I taught. And in any case, Gustav will take care of me." And at that point, at the name Gustav, this huge black dog came out from under the table where she'd been sitting, and he hadn't made a sound, but he was ready to accompany her home.